Hello children, welcome back to the channel. In my last video we had discussed about or we had introduced potential energy and defined potential energy as the energy stored in a body by virtue of its position in a force field or by virtue of its configuration. While discussing about the force field, we mentioned that a force field is an area or a region of space around a particular object where the effect of its force can be felt. For example, the region around the Earth where its gravitational field or force can be experienced is known as the field of Earth's gravitational or Earth's gravitational field. Right? Now we will see how or what is the amount of potential energy that will be stored in a body when it's in the Earth's gravitational field. Let's say we have an object or body of mass m resting at the ground level. So it is under the influence of Earth's gravitational force, right? And that force is, we know, m into g, okay, in the downward direction. Now if we have to take this object and move it to another level b at a height of say h, what we need to do is that we need to apply a force. That force should be at least equal to the gravitational force of with which the Earth is pulling the object downwards. So we will say that force has the same magnitude as Earth's Earth's gravitational field or Earth's gravitational force. So what will happen when we apply that force? The object will move upwards without any acceleration. That is, it will not gain any kinetic energy. It's a quasi-static movement wherein the object is virtually moving very slowly, and so we will say that there is no gain of kinetic energy. The object will move with very slowly and will reach this particular position, say here. After some time, right? Now this height h is taken to be much smaller than the radius of Earth. Why? We will be able to understand when we discuss the Earth's gravitational field in detail in the chapter of gravitation. For the time being, for heights much smaller than radius of Earth, here and here at the two levels, the force of Earth's gravity will remain the same, which will be mg in the downward direction. So what we are doing is that we are applying a force F equal to minus of mg. Why minus of mg? Since mg is downward, so this force is upward, so their direction is or opposite, that's why it is so. So if we consider the magnitudes of the force only, then how much work will be done by this force when it object is moved from A to B? That will be simply given by the definition. Work done will be the applied force in the upward direction, and the displacement is also in the upward direction, moving upwards. The object is moving upwards. So applied force into h. But applied force is equal to, in magnitude, is equal to a gravitational pull of Earth. So we will have this is equal to mg into h. Now this work done will be stored as the potential energy of the object at height h, that is at the position B. So we say that this is the potential energy of the object at that particular height. And in that case, on the ground level, that is at A, the potential energy will simply be mg into h is 0, that is 0. So the ground level is taken as the zero potential energy level. Now please remember, it is very important to understand that there is nothing such as zero potential energy. Zero is taken as a reference position. Why we say there is nothing such as zero potential energy? If we say this is zero potential energy, and then if I dig a hole here and allow the object to fall, it will still accelerate downwards, right? So it will still have certain amount of energy stored in it. But for our practical purposes, it's easy for us to consider the ground surface as the reference surface where the value can be taken as 0, and above this the value is positive and below this the value is negative. Why we have done this is that anything we release from any height will come to the ground level and come to stop, right? So that is why ground level is taken as reference potential energy level, and that reference is taken to be 0. Okay, so the potential energy stored in the object at a particular height from Earth's surface will be given by this. Now, how much work is done by gravity while the object is taken from here in the upward direction? So, if you want to find the work done by gravity, what we need to notice here is that gravity is acting downwards, right? So, if we take the vector force of gravity, it's always acting downwards. So, work done by gravity will be this force downwards multiplied and the dot product of the displacement. Gravity remains constant over the entire displacement, so we can use this equation. But this must be equal to mg, then this is h, and then cos pi 180 degree. Why? Because mg is downward, h is upwards, so the angle between them is pi or 180 degree. Cos pi is -1, so this is minus mgh. So work done by gravity while the object is taken from the ground level to an upward point will be negative. That is quite similar to the case of work done by friction. The object was moving in a direction, friction was acting in the opposite direction, so the work done by friction is negative, or in other words, work is done against the friction. Here is also this work of moving the object from ground level to this higher level of B is done against the gravity, and that's why work done by the gravity or force of gravity is negative. Okay, alright. Now let's consider we are taking a mass m which is initially at the ground level, okay, zero potential energy level, and we are taking it to the level B at a height of h. Now this can be done in many different paths, right? We can directly take it along a straight line upwards, we can take it diagonally, we can take a zigzag path and reach here. So let's consider two cases or two paths here. Okay, first path will be that we take it vertically upward straight and take it to B. Okay, so what will be the work done? W will be simply mg into the height, that is mgh. We have found that if we take it vertically upwards in a straight line, the work done against gravity will be this by the external agency, that is. Now if we consider the same case starting from the same point A, say, but now what we do is that from A we move to some height, let's call this C, vertically upwards, then move in this direction towards right up to D, then move up, let's call this E, and then come back and come back horizontally and reach at point B. The object comes here. Then what will be the work done? Then the work done, let's call this W and this W dash, will be work done in moving from A to C. So let's call this WAC, plus work done in moving from C to D, WCD, plus work done in moving from D to E, WDE, plus work done in moving from E to B, WEB. Fine, that will be the net work. Now we have chosen CD to be parallel to the horizontal and EB also parallel to the horizontal. Now the work done in taking the object from this A to C is W, say AC. No problem with that. What is the work done in taking it from C to D? So here what is happening is that the weight will be there, mg, right? The force is acting vertically upwards, as was the case in the previous case also. F is still acting vertically upwards. However, C to D, the displacement is happening horizontally, which means the angle between F and the displacement CD is 90 degree. So if I take the dot product of F dot the displacement CD, the angle between this will be F R CD, displacement along CD, into cos pi by 2, that is cos 90 degree, which will be 0. So this term will become 0. From D to E, the displacement and the forces are in the same direction, so it will be W dE. For EB also the consideration remains the same. The force is vertically upwards, the object is moving perpendicularly, angle between the displacement and the force is pi by 2. So by definition it will also become 0, which will mean that this will be WAC plus W dE. Now when we move it this height, what will happen is that we have achieved this AC and also this side. If we add DE plus AC, what we get? We get the entire height of H. So basically what we get is that mg into HAC plus mg into HDE in the vertical direction. If we add these two, mg HAC plus HDE, this is HAC and this is HDE. If we add these two, we get H. So this will be equal to mg into H, which is equal to W, as we have found earlier. So what we have seen is that work done against the gravitational field or against the gravitational force does not depend on which path we have taken. Whether we have taken a straight line path or we have taken a zigzag path, we get the same amount of work done. It only depends on where the object started and where the object ended up, both the cases. See, so work done in the gravitational field depends only on the against gravitational field depends only on the initial and the final position, which is very important to know. So what it means, or this is a very important property of gravitational field. What we see is that work done against the gravitational field depends on W depends on initial and final position only. It doesn't depend on the path. If we have such a force field where the work done depends only on the initial and final position, then we call this a conservative force field. Conservative force field, and the force that generates that field is known as conservative force, which means gravitational field or gravitational force is a conservative force. Another example, the electrostatic force, which we will encounter in class 12, that also is a conservative force. Okay, so we have just defined a conservative force. A conservative force is a force under which or against which, if work is done, it is independent of the path followed. Let us consider the case of a conservative field where we have to take an object from point A to point B. And let us say we choose two different paths. One is from A to B along this path, let's call this path number 1. And then along another path, this, let's call this path number 2. Okay, so when we move from A to B, the work done along path A, let's call this AB, work done from A to B along path 1. Okay, when we move along this path. And when we move along along path B, let's call this WAB along path 2. Clear? So if it's a conservative field or conservative force, then we must have WAB along path 1 equal to WAB along path 2. However, we need to understand one thing is that work done from A to B will be equal and opposite when we move from B to A, right? Because let's say it's a gravitational field, so the force is acting downwards. We do work when we move from B to A, we do positive work. We do work against the gravitational field. However, when we move from B to A, we do work along the gravitational field. So work is done in the negative way of the previous case. From A to B, if the work is positive, B to A, the work will be negative. In other words, if WAB along path 2 must be equal to WBA along path 2, but this should be negative of it. So we can write here that WAB2 equal to minus WBA along path 2. Or we can say WAB along path A plus WBA along path 2 equals to 0. So what we are doing is that we are moving from A to B along path A and then moving back from B to A along path B2, right? So what we are doing is that we started at A and coming back at B along a closed loop from A to B, then B to A. So the work done ABA along the closed loop ABA, A to B, B to A, this will be equal to 0. In other words, in case of conservative field or conservative force, work done is a closed path is equal to 0. So what we have come across is that we have come across two important properties of conservative forces. Number one, W or work done depends only on initial and final position. Number two, W or work done along a closed path is 0 in a conservative field. These are two important properties of conservative fields. Okay, now let's consider that an object was initially in a gravitational field was initially at a position where potential energy was U1 and it's taken against the gravity by a force equal to the magnitude to the gravitational force to another position where the potential energy is U2. So change in potential energy U2 minus U1, which will say delta U, will be equal to mgh. From here to here, the gain in potential energy is this much, right? It increases by mg into h. Okay. Now what we have found is that this mgh was equal to minus of w by gravity. At the beginning of the chapter, beginning of today's video, we have already discussed this, that work done against gravity is mgh, so work done by gravity is minus mgh, or we can say mgh is equal to minus work done by gravity, right? So let's drop this subscript g here and say the work done by the conservative force, that is the gravity, is equal to minus w, which means that delta w, delta u, change in potential energy of the system when the conservative force does work of minus w, the object moves from here to here, is equal to mgh, and so change in potential energy is given by minus of the work done by the system, not by the agency but by the system or by the conservative force against which the work is done. That will be minus w, right? If it is so, then we also know that this equal to work done equal to, say, integration from the initial position, say xi, to x final position, the conservative force x dx. Let's say x-axis is in the vertical direction for our convenience. So what we are taking is that the forces direction and the displacement direction are in the same, so that it becomes a little less complicated for us. So f dot dx will be simply f into dx into cos 0. Cos 0 is 1, so we will have this particular expression, right? From this expression we have taken this. W equal to integration of this for variable force, you remember that. Okay, so if we differentiate both sides, we will get du by dx equal to f of x, negative sign will be there, minus f of x. Or that is, we can say that the conservative force is equal to minus du by dx. That is to say, the conservative force is negative of rate at which the potential energy changes with height or displacement along the direction of the force. This term, variation of a particular physical quantity with displacement, with distance, is known as gradient. So, in case of conservative force, the force is equal to negative gradient of its potential energy. So, we can say that number 3, the important point about conservative force is that conservative force is negative gradient of potential energy. So we have discussed and analyzed that conservative forces have 3 important properties. One is that the work done in the field does not depend on the path taken, it only depends on the initial and the final position. Work done in a closed path in the conservative force by the conservative force is 0, and the force is given by negative gradient of its potential energy, right? Now, if these conditions are not fulfilled, that is to say, if work done depends, if W depends on the path. For example, friction. So, if we take the object along a surface in a straight line, then the work done by friction, say point A to point B, A to B. If we go along a straight line, the work done by friction will be something, and in the same plane, if we take the object, move along this and then this, then this, then this, and finally reach here. The path is different, the distance, net distance traveled is different, then the work done will be different. So if the work done depends on the path, then such forces are known as non-conservative force. Here, the work done in a closed path, starting from A, moving along the plane and coming back to A, the total work done will not be 0. Number 3 is that here the force cannot be given by the negative gradient of potential energy. Okay. So, in our next chapter, we will be discussing about very important topic of law of conservation or principle of conservation of mechanical energy.